Welcome, friends. Thank you for joining me for this yoga practice that honors Scorpio season. So this Scorpio season in general, is about the cycle of life, death, and rebirth. And it's quite fitting as we get close to Samhain that we embrace and work with the cycle and the idea of life, death, and rebirth. So I invite you to take this into yourself and think about where these apply for you and how the energy of this cycle can aid you. So with that, we're going to begin lying on our backs. Stretch those legs out nice and long. Go ahead and get comfy. And we're going to begin here with hands resting gently on the pelvis, maybe getting those hands right onto the the pelvic bone here. And take a moment to tap into breath, the rhythm of inhale, exhale. Snuggle the shoulder blades a little bit underneath here to release any tension out of the upper body. Gently tuck the chin towards chest, releasing tension in the back of the neck. Relax the jaw, either close or soften the gaze. And let the legs relax. Notice if you're holding any tension in the back or the hips, and just let it go. We're going to begin our practice still here. Take a moment to let go of the day, the events so far. Clear thoughts and agendas out of your mind. And just concentrate on breath here. If you would like to cultivate a Wu Jia Yi breath, which is a warming breath here, is great for this season, which is starting to turn a little cold. So you'll seal the lips and begin breathing through the nose, inhaling deeply, and creating a very gentle restriction on the back of the throat so that you get a like a ocean wave or a hard breeze kind of sound in your ears. And if that doesn't really track for you, that's fine. You can just seal the lips, soften the throat, and breathe. All right, begin by engaging your core here, drawing that navel down and up towards the spine. And lift that right leg high off the ground, letting it hover for just a moment. And pull knee all the way into chest. We're going to come right towards the center here, keeping your knee in line with the hip to begin with. Take a few deep breaths, expanding into the lower abdomen, maybe feeling the abdomen press against the thigh, and just noticing the sensation. Ground down through that left foot, keep those toes nice and bright. Good, we're going to rock a little bit gently left to right here.
You may feel a little massage of the glutes or possibly the hips. We're starting to open up that hip joint a little bit. If you feel really intense in the hip crease here in the front of your hip, you can just open up a little bit more. It doesn't have to be that intense. Otherwise, if you're able, go ahead and pull that knee all the way in. And we're going to try to pull it towards the right armpit. So you're cradling the right leg in the right, in the nook of the right arm. And you might be able to drop that open a little bit more towards the ground as you stay here for a few breaths. Starting to open up through the hip here. Now keep that left leg a little bit engaged, a little bit active. That will help stabilize you. Keep your core engaged and active, drawing down towards the spine. Then from here, you can move your grip up a little to be on the knee, and we're going to just trace some circles in the air using the hand to guide the knee. Seeing how full of a range of motion you get. Maybe you can go ahead and let that go and do a couple of these with just the leg and the core doing the work. Go ahead and reverse that circle after you've gone around a few times. If anything feels sticky or feels like it's locking up here, go nice and slow, go at your own pace, and find your own range of motion. Good. When you're done, go ahead and straighten out that leg, really engage the core here, and we're going to go nice and easy to the ground. Good. Keeping that core engaged, left leg comes up this time. We're going to hover for a moment. Ground down through the right foot, keep it engaged, nice and bright through the toes, and pull the knee all the way towards the chest. Try to keep the shoulders drawing down towards the earth, avoid the curling up sensation, and see if you can keep the back nice and flat. Take a few deep breaths here and feel, again, the abdomen expanding towards the thigh. Notice the sensation without judging. And then if it's comfortable and you're able, go ahead and draw that knee into the nook of your left arm. Cradling and maybe bringing that leg closer to the earth. You might feel a really intense opening here through the hip joints. Just breathe. And if you're not able to breathe, then back off just a little bit. Good. We're going to rock a little bit here with this knee, going a little bit left and right, massaging the glute, massaging through that hip. And when you're ready, you can begin tracing some circles through the air. Maybe you need those hands, one or two, both of them, to help you. Maybe you can let go and trace some circles just using the leg and the core muscles here. Find out what your range of motion feels like, and give it a go the other way around. Once again, if you notice any crunching, popping sensations, as long as they're not painful, go ahead and just move through it, slow and easy. Keeping the core engaged here, that's really going to help. then we're going to straighten out that leg nice and long, send it out for a moment here to hover, and then we'll slowly, with control, bring it all the way to the earth. Good. Using the core, we're going to pull those knees to chest, rock a little bit left to right here, massaging the spine and the hips. Maybe do a little circle here, get the glutes involved. And if you're feeling comfortable with the movement, we're going to do a little rock and roll up to a seat. If the rolling on the spine is not working for you, then find a gentler way to come up. Otherwise, get a little bit of energy here. Scorpio is an intense energy, and so we're going to bring a little bit of that into our practice today. Getting the blood pumping. And come into a comfortable seated position, whatever that means for you. Take a moment here and recenter. After some activity, we're going to move into stillness. If you're comfortable, draw the eyes closed or soften the gaze to stare blankly into space. Go ahead and align the spine, stacking heart, head, and hips. So maybe you need to pull back the navel a little bit, round the shoulders back. Lift the chest forward. Let the legs be heavy and relaxed. Take a few deep breaths, working either with your Ujjayi breath or another form of breathing. Scorpio, in all of its intensity, is about desire. I invite you to think of something you desire for yourself. Okay, so let this be purely for you. Something you desire that you think will bring something maybe positive into your life. You can go wherever you want with that, but make sure it's for you and not something you desire of others. So put your intentions into yourself first here. And go ahead and inhale, lift the arms high to the sky. Reach up and keep those shoulders drawing back and down, opening through the chest, lifting. And we're going to bring a twist into this and do a little flowing movement. So we're going to sweep the arms to the left. The one is going to come all the way behind. The other is going to rest on the knee. And as you twist around, be conscious of lifting through the spine and through the abdomen. So I want you to drive this twist from the core and not with the arms. So we're not wrenching ourselves into this twist. We're twisting from the core and then finding support with the hands. Okay? Send the gaze all the way back behind. Get the neck involved. It's important to look to the past every once in a while so that we can gain perspective for what's ahead. Reach high to the sky. Exhale, twist to the right this time, sweeping the arms, using the core, and then resting one behind, one on the knee. Again, deep breath here, lengthen the spine, engage through the core, and send the gaze all the way behind you. On an exhale, release back to center. Inhale, hands go high, and we're going to twist again.
Good. Now we're going to bring a little movement flow into this with the breath. Inhale, lift. Exhale, twist. Inhale, lift. Exhale, twist. One more time. Inhale, lift. And exhale, twist. Inhale, lift. And exhale, hands come down to the side. Good. From here, we're going to transition into all fours. So go ahead and get into that tabletop. Get those hands under the shoulders here. Point the elbows behind you. Get those lats turning on. Shoulders rounding back and down. Push the top of the feet into the mat here. Get those knees right under those hips. And pull your navel to spine. Your gaze is right below you for a flat back, as if you were a table. Good. Now reach the right leg back, stretching out the hamstrings and calf a little bit. We can bring a little rocking into this if we like. And then we're going to swing this leg all the way out to the side so that the foot is now in line with the hip. So I know you can't see me, I'll demonstrate on this side. Your leg is going to be in one long line, right in line with the hip. So not coming too far forward here, but trying to keep it in line. Good. So on the right side here, we're going to move into a little cat-cow flow. Your right foot is flat and the toes are pointing forward. So drop the belly, lift the chin. Exhale, round the back, send the head down. Go ahead and flow like this a few times on your own. Good. We're going to swing that right leg behind or back to neutral. Bend the knee, okay, but I'm not putting it down. We're going to open up the hip, and just like we did circles kneeling, on our back, we're going to do circles kneeling. So you're just trying to get some range of motion in the hip here. Pretend you're drawing a big circle in the air with the knee. And then we're going to reverse direction here, get in a good 3 or 4 each way. Now we want to keep the core engaged. We're really trying not to move the left hip and the left leg at all. And the hands and arms are really doing a lot of supportive work here. Okay, once you've done a few circles, straighten out, still see if you can try not to put that leg down. Sweep it all the way up and through. So we're getting into a lunge here. And coming up into a kneeling warrior one. In this posture, we want to be conscious of holding the torso upright. So we want to avoid a real big sinking of the hips. We want to pull those hips back. So there's a difference between being low to the ground and letting the hips sort of splay forward. So pull those low abdominal muscles in. Push the tailbone towards the earth. Find lift here. And for our purposes today, we really want to stack this knee over the ankle, which in general is the goal, but you'll see why in a moment here. We're going to kind of lunge forward a little bit, not putting a ton of forward lunge into that. We don't want to go way beyond our ankle. We're just going to open up the hip a little bit, lunging forward, coming back. And then we're going to dial our foot out just a little bit. So imagine you're a clock face starting at 12. You're dialing out a little bit with the entire hip. So not just with the foot, but the whole hip is opening out. So we're starting at 12. We lunge forward, dial it out a little bit, walk over, lunge a little bit towards the side, dial it out a little bit, walk over, lunging now
in this direction. Okay, so you're getting that. And then we're going to lunge, and we're going to see how open we can get with this hip. You may be able to go all the way lunging towards the right side. And then we're going to dial it back. Okay, giving a little bit of a lunge on each one. The core really should be engaged here to help drive that momentum back. Good. Inhale, lift the arms all the way to the sky. Exhale, paint the hands down. We're going to step back into our first plank here. If you'd like to start on the knees with me, be my guest. If you want to go full plank, please do. And we're going to lower ourselves all the way to the earth. Open the arms wide into a T shape here. And we're going to bend the right knee and shift over onto the left hip. I'm rolling all the way over so that that right foot comes to the ground and the knee points to the sky. Now your right hand can just rest on the ground and support you like a little kickstand. And you should feel a big opening through the left shoulder here. Let the head relax the best you can. If you have a pillow nearby and you want to support yourself, go ahead. Okay, exhale, roll back. Open out the arms again. And we're going to switch sides. Bend the left knee, open up, and roll onto that right hip. In these postures, we really want the knee that's lifted to point to the sky, and that will help open up this hip socket right here. Exhale, roll yourself back to neutral. Get those hands under your shoulders, engage the core here. We're going to lift up into plank, either on the knees or all the way. And we're just going to find ourselves back into a tabletop position. Stretching that left leg back this time. Push back into the calf. Maybe give it a little bit of a bounce front to back. And swing that leg out to the side. Go into a little cat-cow here. And when you're done, go ahead and engage the core, swing that leg back so that you can safely bend the knees. See if you cannot touch the ground here. And remember that right hip needs to be really strong and stable. The core is engaged and the hands are really bearing the load. So we're going to be circling. See if you can go slow and steady and explore your range of motion here. Go a couple times in the other direction. And again, see if you can avoid putting that knee down. We're going to step it all the way up into a kneeling warrior one. Just like on the other side, we're going to start in our 12 o'clock position here. Our hips are nice and wide, legs nice and wide, core is engaged, tailbone draws down, lunge forward using the core. Dial it out a little bit. Come to your 11 o'clock. Give it a lunge. Dial it out and forward. Good. Dial it out
And lean into it. Dial it out. Good, you got this. Keep going. See how wide you can open up that hip. Maybe getting all the way almost to that 90 degree. If that's comfortable. So don't overdo it here. And then we're going to go ahead and dial it back. One at a time. If this is really killing your other knee, try the best you can to engage your quad and your hip flexors here. Push the top of your foot down and always pad if you need to. Like put some cushion under there for yourself. Okay, when you've dialed it all the way back down, back to the middle, we're going to lift the arms to the sky and paint the hands down, stepping it back. From here, we're going to come up into our first down dog. Take a deep breath here. Now spread the fingers wide. Press through the entire surface of the hand. Get your arms to be at least as wide as your shoulders, if not wider. Lift the heels, bend the knees. Melt the heart to the earth and push the hips to the sky. Maybe go ahead and pedal out the ankles a little bit if you're feeling a little bit creaky. And then we're going to find a slow walk to the top. Go ahead and maybe crisscross the feet or whatever feels good for you. In your forward fold here, find a halfway lift, whatever feels good to you, and release it down, fold. Engage the core here, push the feet down, and slow and steady, we're going to roll it all the way up to standing. Take a moment here, ground through the feet. Push the tailbone towards the earth. Engage the core. Root to rise. Lift those hands high. And as you're reaching upwards, reaffirm your intention of what it is you desire more of for yourself. Shrug, pull the shoulders down. Pull your intention into heart space here. Once again, root to rise all the way up. Reach to the sky and pull the arms all the way down through the center line to the earth. Fold. Halfway lift. Fold it again. Hands firmly down. Step back into either full plank or kneeling plank. And we're going to go ahead and take a vinyasa. If you're new to this, go ahead and follow with me. We can be on the knees, coming all the way down. Lift up into a baby cobra. Here we're using the core, not the hands. Exhale, release. Hands under the shoulders, engage the core. Push yourself all the way up into your down dog. Good, deep breath here. Walk to the top of the mat. Find your way. Either crisscross, big step. Maybe you even want to get some hopping into this. Go ahead. Halfway lift when you get to your to the top of your mat, and then go ahead and fold it down. Once again, engage the core from the feet. Push, unfurl the spine all the way up. Hands high to the sky, reach. Exhale, draw the hands down through the midline. Good, take a moment here, breathe. Reach the arms high to the sky. Now for this next series of movements, you can set up your feet to be either together. This works best
in general if you have more narrow hips. If that does not work for you, please step wide, as wide as the hips here, if that feels more comfortable for you. We're starting here. I want you to ground down through the entire surface of the foot. Now pull the tailbone down, lift the core up. And we're going to go into a chair pose. We're going to lean forward, squat down like you're sitting in a chair, look down, make sure you can see your toes. Make sure your core is really engaged here and those arms are lifted as high as you can. If you're starting to come down here, see if you can open it up a little bit. All right, there's your flow. That's it. We're going to do 6 of those total, and we're going to bring a little breath into it. So if you've been in your Ujjayi breath, you can break out of that for a moment here, and we're going to do a forceful exhale with our squat. So starting here, deep breath, and it's going to be like this. We're going to go as we come down to chair. And when you hit your chair, make sure you check those posture points here, and then we're going to lift, and again, that's 2. And 1 more, reach high. And come back to mountain pose. Firm through the feet, roll the shoulders back and down, take a moment. Good, stay where you are and just start bringing a little twist into the core. So let the arms be loose, think like spaghetti arms here. Let them be loose and let this movement come from your core. All right, so the knees are going to move a little, the hips are going to sway, but the movement should be driven from your core. Now, those loose arms, let them tap onto your hips and your glutes, your hips and your booty as you speed it up. Doesn't have to be crazy fast. You can go to whatever pace is comfortable for you. Now, just be mindful that you're not locking out the knees. Notice here I'm kind of bouncing through this movement. That's what we want to see here. We don't want to be locking energy in. We want it to just flow. Okay, take a moment here. Get into the body a little bit. Notice the sensations that are coming up for you. Maybe speed it up. If you like this, go faster. You can tap back into that Ujjayi breath if you're in for it. And then slow it down. Just like we came into it, we're going to come out of it, slowing the pace, slowing the roll. And then you'll gently sway slower and slower until you return to your neutral standing position. Take a moment here. Notice how you feel. And then root to rise, reach high, fold it down, halfway lift, and release. Step back. Go ahead and vinyasa here. Now if you're new and you want to step it up a little bit, see if you can lower halfway down. Hips come towards the earth, but they don't touch. Lifting into your up dog. Feet and hands are the only thing touching. Roll it back or flip the feet and then come into your down dog. Take a few deep breaths here. All right, now find your way to the top of the mat. Maybe you want to bring some hopping into this if you're feeling a little energized from that movement. Halfway lift and fold it down. Root to rise from the feet. Unfurl the spine all the way up. Exhale, hands to heart. reach high to the sky. Open up once again, reaching out for that which you desire. And then exhale all the way to the earth, fold it down. From your fold, now we're gonna widen our stance just a little bit. So if you look at me here, feet are gonna point out at angles. So not forward, out at angles. We've widened the stance a little bit, and I want you to just go ahead and lower down to the earth. We're gonna get into a little variation, not quite a yogi squat here, but actually preparing for our lion's pose. So you may have different versions of what you like for this pose. Go into your own variation if that feels good. Now here, you can have your feet flat like I am, or you can come into a little bit more of a like froggy style with the heels lifted. And then we're going to turn the fingers to point behind us, so we're getting the front of the wrists exposed, stretching out through the forearm. Good. In your squat, we'll go 3 deep breaths and exhaling with the tongue sticking out. All right, so we're going to start with deep inhale, forceful exhale. Okay, we're going to do 3 of those. So deep breath. Okay, from here, gently release the wrists. Take a moment here. Maybe roll them out if that was a little intense of a stretch for you. And then we're going to get onto those hands, lift the hips back high where we were, into our forward fold. And then go ahead and step the legs wide. So we're getting into a wide leg version of a forward fold. Bend the knees. Toes are going to point out at angles still here. Now that's going to kind of protect our knees as we rise up into a wide leg stance. Now from here, we're going to see if we can get those toes to point forward. Now again, I'm bringing a gentle bend into my knees. I don't want to lock out those joints. And if it feels good for you to not have your feet forward and actually open them out, go for it. That feels better for me, but see what works for you. From your wide leg forward fold, we're going to pivot into a warrior 2. So go ahead and pivot your right toes all the way towards what was the front of your mat. Pivot your left toes to point towards what was the left side of your mat, or the way you're currently facing. And then we're just going to come down, maybe widen the stance a little bit if you're comfortable here. You can also be here, that's totally fine. Again, find what works for you. Now here, we really want to turn these adductors on, kind of squeezing them towards each other like a pair of scissors. Push the tailbone down, draw that navel up, line up your knee with your ankle, reach forward or reach out in both directions, front and back. Send the gaze forward over your middle finger. Okay, from here, do a little reverse warrior. You got this. Keep those legs engaged. And then we're going to come into extended side angle. The elbow comes to the thigh but does not bear weight. Go ahead and reach that left arm high. Now, engage the core. Notice I can lift my arm and not lose my posture. Good. From here, we're going to exhale. We're going to windmill it all the way down. Okay, back into that forward folded posture. Take a moment here. We can widen out that stance a little bit, coming into a wide leg forward fold. Now, depending on your flexibility level and your experience level, you might be here on your hands, or you might work towards elbows reaching the floor. Find what works for you. Again, do not lock the knees here. Keep a gentle bend. Keep those adductors working. This is a lot of leg stuff. And then we're going to narrow the stance just a little bit here. Bend the knees for safety and lift up into your wide leg stance. All right, this time pivot out to the left with those left toes now pointing to what was the back of your mat. Right toes point the direction you're currently facing. Okay, now find the distance on this that works for you. Engage these thighs towards each other. Check the tailbone, check the core, reach out. Good, reverse that warrior, reach high with the left arm and then pull that left elbow all the way down towards the thigh, reach high with the right arm. Send the gaze high to the sky if you have the balance. Good, reach all the way down to the earth, hands come back to center. Good, from here we're just gonna step to the top of the mat to recenter and then back for a vinyasa flow. In your down dog, take a few deep breaths. Find your way to the top of the mat. Halfway lift. And release. Bend the knees, root to rise all the way up, reach high. Exhale, hands to heart center. Good, from here we're gonna step wide on the mat once again. So check that posture, feet are out at angles, thighs are turning on, core is engaged, tailbone down. Try to maintain that every time you come back here. And we're gonna turn into a warrior two here, facing towards our right side. So come back into that stance. You remember we were just here. Reach out. Reverse that warrior. Go ahead and straighten that leg this time. Get a little bit of rest. Re-enter your warrior two. And then extended side angle. All right, this time we're gonna go into a half moon. So we're gonna pivot to face our extended front leg. Pivot your rear foot now so the toes are also pointed forward. So now the hips and the toes are all pointed in one direction. And then the right hand is going to come in front of the right foot and out a few inches to the side, okay? So it's supporting over here. And then I'm kicking off with my left foot to get it up off the ground. Left toes are pointing out to my side, not to the ground, but out to the side. Left arm is reaching. Now, if there's any weight bearing into those right fingers, go ahead and try to get them just hovering on the ground. They're barely touching. They're just a little kickstand. Engage your core, really using that right leg here. And if you struggle with this posture, bring a block under your right hand. Okay, good. No, slow and easy. We're going to unwind. I like to bring the hand down first and then the leg follows. Take a moment here. Step back. Go ahead and find your vinyasa or skip it. Down dog once you're done. Take a few breaths. And then find your way to the top. Good. Come all the way up. Reach high to the sky. Draw the arms down. Okay, from here we're going to wide leg stance again. You can go whichever way you like. I'm just going to face you all. And set up your posture. Check those legs. Check everything. And then come into your warrior 2. Breathe here. Reverse that warrior. Go ahead and straighten out both legs for a moment of rest. And then coming back to warrior 2. Extended side angle. And then we'll go to half moon on this side. So we're going to pivot everything to face one direction. Left arm comes forward of my left foot and out a few inches. Lift the right leg. Open up that hip so the toes point to your side. Right arm goes high to the sky. Ooh. So, once again, the left fingers are not load bearing. They're just for stability. Really, the load bearing is the foot, the leg, and the core. Breathe. And then nice and easy, we're going to let it all down. And then we're going to step back. Go ahead and take a vinyasa. Or skip it. In our down dog, take a few deep breaths. Notice how you feel. And then slow and steady, come all the way down. Back into a tabletop position. Back where we were earlier. And then we're going to come up into a kneeling posture. Bringing the right leg forward. And we're going to slide into essentially a split. So don't worry if you're not very, very flexible, that's totally fine. If you are feeling pretty inflexible, you could maybe just make this a lunging shape. So you get a little bit of a stretch here and a little bit of a stretch over here on the other hip. Now, if you feel like you want to give it a little bit of a go at the splits, again, nothing crazy. We can be here. I'm still on my knee. I'm not getting into a full split, so don't even worry about that. I'm just getting a nice stretch on my hamstring and a nice stretch on my hip flexor quad on the left. Now, with those right toes, you have them pointed high. See if you can point them forward and then back. Notice if there's a change in sensation here for you. And then we're going to slide out of this splits a little and reposition into a half pigeon. So I'm just bending this right leg now. Left leg is still out nice and long. And then you've got options from here. So some folks really like to come all the way down to the ground and make this a more of a reverent posture. If you'd like, you can always bend the knee, coming up into more of a mermaid posture. And then whatever version of this half pigeon you're in, I want you to come upright with me, get those arms supported on the ground nice and straight. And then we're going to roll onto this right hip, okay, so that I'm able to swing my left leg forward. And I'll come into a one leg extended seated posture here. Arms are going to go high to the sky. And then forward and fold. In this fold, scoop your tailbone under, so it's kind of rolling towards your toes. And let the forehead slowly come towards the knee. If it doesn't touch, that's fine, no worries. And if it feels good, maybe you reach the right arm to the outer edge of this left leg, getting a little more stretch on the side body. And then we're going to come up nice and easy. And I'm going to return to my tabletop position. Coming back into a kneeling position, and then I'm going to stretch out my left leg this time. Sorry, I had to make sure I was doing the correct side. All right, so we're coming down into a splits, or you're going into your variation here, maybe in that lunge that I showed you earlier. So like I said on the other side, like you may not be into a full splits, that's fine. You might just be floating, supporting yourself with the arms a little bit, working towards a goal. And then we're going to point and flex those left toes. Notice if that changes the sensation for you. And then we're going to slide back so that we can reposition into our half pigeon. Once again, find your variation, find what works and feels good for you. I recommend trying to repeat what you did on one side on the other, but if you have your reasons for not doing that, do your thing. And then we're going to release from whatever variation we have. Roll onto that left hip so we can swing our leg around. And coming into our seated one-legged forward fold. Reach the arms high to the sky and then forward and down. Once again, scoop that tailbone under. Really relax the shoulders. And then walk yourself all the way upright. Good. We're going to stretch out both legs here. And then go wide with the legs. So we're into a V shape like so. Reach the arms high to the sky. And we're going to slide on towards one of those feet. Getting a nice stretch in the side body. Maybe feeling that in the hamstrings. And then you can also experiment with about like how wide the legs are able to open up. And see how it feels when you go to stretch towards one of those legs. And then we're going to stretch towards the other side. Back to center. This time slide down the midline. You can keep that tailbone scooped slightly under.
If you've gone pretty wide on the legs, you might feel an intense stretch on the inner groin here. Don't overdo that. Just get into what feels good. And using your core, using the arms to help, we're going to come back to an upright seat. And we're going to roll back into a lying position. So you can come into a little ball here and maybe roll on the spine, reversing the movement we made earlier. Now, if you know that this doesn't feel good for your back or for other parts of your body, go ahead and find a gentler version down. Otherwise, we're going to do this for just a few rounds, and then we'll come back into this knee to chest posture. From here, we'll go into a little happy baby. We're going to widen the legs, send the feet to the sky, and the forearms come to the inner leg, and then wrap around the ankle. So your elbows are essentially resting by your calves or on your calves. This helps get a wider opening of the hips. So if you like it here and you just want to chill, that's great. If you would want to bring a little rocking and rolling into your happy baby, by all means, experiment with that. I really enjoy this movement of tapping one foot to one side, stretching that leg all the way out, tapping the other. Once you've had a chance to explore that happy baby, go ahead and release the legs. We're going to return to knee to chest here. Pull everything into a little ball. And then I want you to take a nice deep breath, filling the low abdomen, filling the lungs, expanding until there's pressure. And then exhale everything out. Spread out the limbs. Spread out the arms. Take up some space here as you go long and flat. This is a great opportunity where if you're in a room that's feeling a little chilly, especially as we move into the colder months in the northern hemisphere, maybe pull on a blanket, cover yourself up a little bit. If you got a little heated during your practice, maybe you're just enjoying that sensation. If you've cultivated your Wu Jia Yi breath, go ahead and release that now. Let the breath return to normal, whatever happens there. And release the jaw, parting the lips gently. Soften the gaze, maybe close the eyes if that's comfortable for you. Good. Snuggle the shoulder blades underneath of the body. Relax the arms and the hands. Relax the core here, the abdomen and the hips. If there's any stress being held in the back or the hips or the shoulders, notice that and try to just let it go.
there's thoughts coming up for you here, just set them aside, notice them, acknowledge them. You don't need to follow them. From here, if you're ready to exit your Savasana, go ahead and wiggle the fingers and the toes. Maybe bring a little movement into the legs and the arms here. If it feels good, give it a full body stretch, reaching. And relax, release. From here, go ahead and come into an upright seated posture. Let's close out our practice.
Once again, take a moment and align the spine here. Just because our practice is over doesn't mean we need to lose what we have cultivated. So come back into that strong seated posture. Sweep the arms up overhead. Take a moment to embrace the energy that you've cultivated here. Reaffirm your intention for that thing that you desire more of for yourself. Pull the energy within. And we will close our practice here with one chant of Om. So we'll take a deep breath here and begin. Thank you, my friends, for joining me on this yoga practice for Scorpio season. I hope that it helps you throughout this season and anytime you desire to work on that which you desire.